Powered by Riverside.
Hey, welcome to another edition of BJB Today. Joined by AJ Andreessen. AJ, how you doing?
Tim, I'm a little tired. We got some sick kids here, but I'm doing all right. How are you?
There's something going around, isn't there? There's actually something going around through the basketball team. They think they've got through it all now, but yeah. Well, that's a bummer. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much. Make sure you can hit that subscribe and like button. It helps us a ton. And what also helps us a ton is if you help out our sponsors. And first up is Infusion Brewing Company. Infusion has a great line of fall beers on tap right now, including the vanilla bean, pumpkin beer, all kinds of stouts. So check it all out. Infusionbrewing.com. Go there, find out the hours for the tasting room. Go out to their little shanty tasting room, have some food, get a flight of beers. Check out everything they have to offer. That's infusionbrewing.com. And then also RTI Threads. Thank you to RTI Threads for sponsoring not only this show, but also the postgame this year. RTI Threads has a complete line of Creighton apparel, including quarter zips, sweatshirts, tees, caps, like the one I got on. So check it all out. It's rtithreads.com. We also want to thank them for their sponsorship of a segment on our postgame show where we give away stuff, and they're being terrific about that. Speaking of which, so if you're watching this and you haven't entered the contest to win the autographed Isaac Trout basketball, do that ASAP, because later on this morning we'll be announcing the winner. Okay. Today we are going to, as we get into a week where we only have one game, which is going to be kind of unusual going forward, we thought we'd take a look at a little bit how nationally Creighton looks and how where they are and where they sit. Our super plan was to just pull up KenPom and show you, but of course I can honestly say, as a bracketologist, I go to KenPom 9,000 times a week. I've never gone there where their site's been done. Today, of all days, their site is down. But we'll get through it, because I've got Warren Nolan pulled up. We can always pull that up. We need to visually look at something. But AJ, you've dug into this, and tell us what's going on with KenPom and Creighton.
Yeah. Tim, what do you think Jays are at right now in KenPom? Maybe you've already looked, but I'm just curious. What do you think we're at?
I look constantly, so I know they're not very good. They were in the 50s, low 50s.
We're sitting at 49 right now, which I think that's one of the worst KenPom rating we've had since like the Ryan Kalkbrenner era started. So the last 4 or 5 years, I think that's one of the worst midseason ratings we've had. So, it's notable that we did start at 42 preseason rank, which I think everybody thought was a little high, and then we've actually gone down since then. So it's
everybody. We were at 42 preseason.
Yeah, in KenPom.
Oh well, that's kind of actually low. Okay.
Meaning high, meaning not as good of a ranking as we thought we should have had.
And right. Yeah, that's what I meant too. Oh, all right.
Yeah. Also thought it was interesting that Gonzaga just jumped to KenPom number 1 last night after their 70-point win. So making our loss probably hurt a little bit less, considering it's the number 1 team and it was a true road game. But yeah, then I was just looking ahead, and next couple games, North Dakota obviously is in the 300s, but then we have Nebraska, number 41 right now, so they're ahead of Creighton by about 10 spots. Iowa State, number 8, and Baylor, 25. So we have some tough competitions coming up, and a big chance to sway our numbers here on KenPom. But I was looking into numbers a little bit, and our offense is around 30th in KenPom, which actually is somewhat consistent with what we have been. and then our defense is what's hurting us. I think the Kalkbrenner effect is in full effect right now. We're around the 85 mark on defensive efficiency anyways. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on the defense this year? Think that
Well,
is a
yeah,
fair
before we jump
rating?
into that, I would just want to talk a little bit because some people may not be familiar what Ken Pom is. So
Yeah.
Ken Pom is a ranking. He's been around forever. Um, he's a little bit of an odd duck, though. He's not very social when you meet him. I've met him once, and other people have said the same thing. Like I wanted to have him. I did a podcast, bracketology podcast, a couple years ago, and I wanted to have him on. He just refused to come on. Like I went back to him a couple different times. Said, "Hey, you sure you don't want to do this?" He goes, "No, I don't really want to do a podcast." So it's just like I don't know what the deal is. But anyway, he has rankings. So he has adjusted offensive efficiency, which is how many points a team would score um, in 100 possessions on average. Same way with defense. How many would they would give up? He has a measurement of luck uh, between a team's winning percentage and the expected winning percentage based on metrics. There's also other metrics used. Just so you know, like Ken Palm is kind of like people talk about Ken Palm a lot. I think the one thing the average fan likes about it is it's updated daily, and you can go on and see it without paying behind a pay site. So, but when it comes to like the NCAA tournament and the selection committee, Ken Palm is just a small part of what they look at. They look at 6 major metrics plus, besides those 6, they have the net itself and then just the actual results. So, from that I'm not really surprised because, like you said, we played some very high Ken Palm teams,
Mhm.
like like North Dakota and Maryland Eastern Shore. I think was 350 when we played them, somewhere in there. Um, I could pull up. Um,
Yeah, South
take a look
Dakota's in the
here.
200s as well.
Yeah, so far we've gotten. If you just look at rankings, like Warren Nolan is trying to simulate the net right now, even though the net hasn't come out to kind of rank the teams. And he's got South Dakota 233 and Maryland Eastern Shore 362. And then, now we're going to be playing another North Dakota team that's high up. So, yeah, I would rather not. I obviously don't care about, we're going to have bye games, but I'd rather not have bye games in this high of a level, like 350s. That gets a little outrageous when it comes to your overall, because it does somewhat affect the net when the net comes around. Some of the
Well,
metrics that
that
Ken Palm
gets
have are baked into the net.
yeah. That gets into the scheduling too. I mean, I know there's a big thing right now about all these coaches and how they're scheduling. Nebraska's non-con is weak every year, but luckily for them, the
Mhm.
Big Ten is a pretty tough conference. But I mean, if you play these really bad teams, you really need to win by 25 plus to have it help your metrics. Otherwise, it's going to hurt them. So it's always kind of a scary
Right.
thing. But
Yeah, so what happened here a couple of years ago, and it's probably I don't think it's been a decade, but it's certainly been over 5 years. That was the big thing, like, it would strength of schedule seem to be somehow weighted heavier with some of these metrics they use, and it's somehow now a non-conference, let's just talk about non-conference because that's what we're in. Non-conference used to be weighted heavier somehow, and about 4 or 5 years ago, teams figured out that they can just go out there and just beat the brakes off of teams. That would help them because there are things baked into KenPom that, um, help you with your margin. For instance, KenPom is, and this is really a simplistic view of KenPom, but KenPom is if you let's say and KenPom has, if you've gone on his site, he predicts the games out like point spreads, basically. This is how much a team A should beat team B. And he's pretty accurate when it comes to the point spreads that actually come out. He just doesn't take into consideration how much the betting public is going to bet on one team or the other. He doesn't take that into consideration. But at any rate, let's say he has Team A beating Team B by 30. So if Team A beats Team B by 30, hey, that's great. That's what they're supposed to do. If they beat them by more, they're probably going to move up a little bit. If they beat them by less, they're going to move down a little bit. Now, once you bake in, you get into the game 28 of the season, obviously the fluctuation on that doesn't go up and down as much. This also goes into the net. The net, however, caps it. There's discussion on how this all works. Nobody really knows because they never release what the net is. And that's probably the more important of the two metrics, net and KenPom. The net's more important, but the net caps it at a certain level. What level that is, nobody knows. I've always heard it was like 20. Like if you beat somebody over 20, you can beat them by 100. It's not going to matter because they somehow cap the margin. However, we're not sure that's true because the team that jumps into mind is Iowa State, team that we're going to play again here in about a week. Their philosophy is just schedule weak, go out and beat the crap out of these teams, and then we're strong enough in the Big 12 where we're going to play enough quality opponents. We don't need to worry about it. And that goes for pretty much everybody in the country. The one conference I would say that's been hurt a little bit lately has been the ACC because they've expanded their conference, and then the bottom 2/3 of it aren't very good. So then they kind of get hurt playing those teams. But for the most part, that's what they do. But yeah, you're right. Nebraska has been weak too. But again, if you look at their results, like they've been beating these teams handily. You can kind of go by point spread, but if you look at that, like Creighton hasn't covered a game yet. So, and their big drop happened when they lost to Gonzaga. So, yeah, go ahead.
You could argue the Big East is in that ACC boat too right now, where a lot of the bottom half of the Big East has really been struggling metric-wise, and a lot of those wins are Q3 now. If you're at home against the Butlers, the Seton Halls, the DePauls of the last couple of years. So I mean, it's important that Creighton does get some hard games in non-con. With the Big East seeming to be down.
For some reason, Butler, even though they've been down, they've always hung around the 90 to 100 mark on the net, which is pretty good. Seton Hall was in the 250s last year, I want to say. DePaul under Holtman, for whatever reason, has come up somewhat. It hasn't been as bad. I think they were in the low 200 last year, which was unusual for them.
Right.
The first year of Ed Cooley in Georgetown wasn't good too. I know they were hovering around 200. So yeah, there are a couple, but if you look at the SEC, what like hurts you almost more, like you can get by with playing a couple of those higher echelon numbered teams. Okay, like we mentioned 3 of them right there. The ACC has a bunch that are in that middling 150 to 200 range. That's not as bad, but it's still not good when you're getting the conference play when you flip, say, the Big Ten, who night in, night out is playing a top 50 game. So that's where the big gap takes place. We luckily have UConn and St. John's who are going to be in the top 10, 15. Over the past decade, Marquette's been in there as well as Creighton. So, half the time in the Big East, you're going to be playing a top 20 team. So that's helped out everybody in the league. Everybody kind of floats up. But you're right on Creighton. Like, let's see what happens. Let's see how this ranking changes as we go to Vegas, right? So we're going to be playing Baylor. We're going to be playing Iowa State. So right now, I can pull this up.
KenPom does project us to lose both of those games, by the way.
Yeah. By what did they list a margin yet?
I think it was like 87, and I'm going off memory because KenPom's down. I think it was 87-82 against Baylor, and then Iowa State was like 87-78 or something. They were both like single-digit games, but
okay. So that would somewhat make sense about where the teams sit. So, yeah, like Iowa State right now in KenPom is number 8. And again, here's who they played. So just so you get an idea. So they played 301 Fairleigh Dickinson, 312 Stonehill, 323 Grambling State. But they've beaten all those teams. The least they've beaten a team in that group is 38. So that's where that's boosting KenPom. When you get into net, it's probably not gonna help them as much. Like, they're gonna have like I said, a few years ago, that strength of schedule when you have 3 teams over 300 would not be good for a top tier team. But now, again, people don't care. People just don't care. And it's not only these top tier teams, it's gone down to, like, Ryan Miller's, level right now. He
Mhm.
said the first year of his scheduling, he was just gonna schedule the weakest teams he could possibly find and just beat the crap out of them. That's just, you know?
I mean,
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's all a great strategy, but you gotta beat those teams by a ton
Mhm.
too,
Yeah.
You can't
Yep.
you
That's the
can't be eking
risk.
out 2-point wins like, who was it? Providence has been doing? So, yeah, so I think it's interesting, to see where we go after next week, right? Like, how do we fare? And again, it does really we sometimes get all caught up in these numbers and these rankings and so forth, but it does kind of compare it does I'm sorry, it does mean you still gotta win the games. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you get all freaked out like, "Oh my god, we're 48," or you're excited you're number 1. Well, you still gotta win the next game, right? Alright, what
Yeah.
other interesting things do you see?
Well, I thought it was interesting just to bring up this KenPom now because it's generally a really good predictor of what's going to happen. A high percentage of Final Four teams are in like that top 25 of offensive and defensive efficiency. So I just thought it was interesting to look at this now before we play some tough games to see what changes. But as far as what else was interesting, I noticed we think our offense is okay, like every year we do. But our field goal percentage is really bad so far this year. I mean, we're 29% from three, which puts us at 250th in the nation. And again, we haven't played great teams except for Gonzaga. 59% from two, which is like 53rd in the nation, and only about 71% from the free throw line, which puts us at 175th in the nation. So, as much as our defense has
Wait,
been,
wait, go back to that. Free throw line was
yeah,
what?
71%,
Oh,
175th in the nation.
really?
Hmm.
Wow. I think, 71% is not bad. It's edging towards 60, but it's not God, I would think we'd be, huh, alright, well, people are shooting free throws well this year, I guess.
Yeah, I would think in order to be in that top 50, you'd have to be 75% or above.
Yeah. I just
But
don't when I just think back in the games without looking at the numbers, I think back and
mhm.
go, "I don't think we shot free throws that poorly." I mean, I guess the one that skewed it was Gonzaga. Our percentage wasn't great, we just shot a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's true. We did. But, yeah, let's see. Gonzaga, we were 20 for 31, which was 64%.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seemed like we made a lot because we were at the line a lot? Interesting that
Yeah,
we were
South
at the line
Dakota,
that
we were 10 for 11,
Yeah,
90%.
yeah. So that's why I'm thinking like,
And
well, that
then
wasn't
right at
bad."
that average, 8 for 11, 72% against
Yeah.
Maryland Eastern Shore. So it was really just the Gonzaga game that skewed it. And of course, those are when we needed the free throws the most. But
Yeah, right, right.
yeah, I don't know. I was just looking at it, thinking about how our defense is lagging. And then I looked at our field goal percentage, and that's compared to the last couple of years, that's well below the
No
average.
doubt,
So hopefully that, you know, reverts to
no
the
doubt.
mean and we increase the percentages the next couple games.
Yeah. Yeah, I talked to Mac yesterday, and that's one thing he brought up, and he rarely brings it up, the three-point shooting. He just said he does not that he doesn't bring it up, but he doesn't usually make this comment. Excuse me, and this comment was, "Yeah, it's kind of our thing we're always built on is three-point shooting." And he goes, "We just gotta start to shoot it better." You know? He normally just says, we're fine. We got the shooters. It'll turn around." He just said, "Hey, we've gotta start to shoot it better." So that he also said, we started off the season that exhibition game against um, Iowa State and shot it so well, and then since then we haven't shot very well. So um,
Yeah.
Yeah, these numbers are always cool to look at, and Ken Palm though will tell you like about 10 years ago when they were trying to come up with a net, they brought in the top people. They brought in Jeff Sagarin, who doesn't do numbers anymore. He quit last year. Ken Palm, they brought in the people from ESPN with the BPI, which is the most flawed system. I don't know what they have in there why it's so flawed, but it is. It's not even close. I don't know why they actually use it on the NCAA tournament team sheets because it's so flawed. They brought in KPI, which is a result-based metrics, and then they've added some more, like strength of record was big last year, and WOB was the new one. So, like Ken Palm, like you want to win by a certain amount. Net, you want to win big. Ken Palm, you want to win big too. You get to something like WOB. What WOB is wins above bubble. So that basically, if you're playing a bubble team, how would you do? And that was something that was a new metric last year, and something the committee really used heavily. And over at Bracketville, where I do my bracketology, we're going to come up, Dave and I over there are going to come up with a new measuring stick with WOB, which really is something the committee really leaned on. We went back. We always go back and look at the results after the committee selects the teams, and then go back and go, okay, what did they really look at? They leaned heavily on WOB last year, the brand new metric. So some of the other metrics, they just didn't lean that heavily. Like when you just look at the actual results, which I think they should lean on, but I'm old. Like they want to go all metrics now. But at any rate, so those numbers are something. It'll be better when the net comes out here in about 2 weeks or so. Then you'll get a better idea, because then you'll have all the metrics. The WOB will be up, the net will be up. You'll have all these other metrics. We should point out the other metrics, like for Creighton right now that are up. BPI, we're at 41. Torvik has us 28. So Torvik has us much higher than you would think. KPI, results-based metric, has us 38. And strength of record, just because we've played two terrible teams, then we played a good team and got blown out, is at 124, which is really low. But that'll change when we get now into these next couple weeks and also into the Big East. So anyway, we thought today we'd just take a look at it, see where Creighton's at, and just so mark this in your head, like where we are right now, and then 49, and then let's see where we end up here in another after Thanksgiving. It'd be interesting to take a look again, and I'm sure it'll be much better. Anything else, AJ?
I got some like little fun things to end this with. Well,
yeah,
I'm a stats guy. I think they're fun. I don't know if everybody else will. So one of them on KenPom is it shows our point distribution. So it's like percentage of our total points come from 3 points, 2-pointers, or free throws.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you think of our points percentage-wise these 3 games have came from threes?
30%.
That's right on, 31%. So that puts us really low in the nation, like 175th. And generally we're a lot higher from threes. So again, going back to that field goal percentage, make shot, miss shot game, we got to start making shots, which I think we all know that. And then free throws, we're not getting to the line as much as I thought we would. I thought we would, with Blake Harper and Nick Graves being able to get to the line whenever they wanted to last year, it seemed like. Right now, through 3 games, we're 310th in free throw percentage from point distribution. So we're only at 15 points, or 15% of our points has come from the free throw line, which is 310th in the nation. And then just some other fun things that KenPom uses so bench minutes were way higher this first 3 games, as you can imagine, than we have been the last couple of years. So we're almost at 40%. We're at 39% of bench minutes, which I think the last couple of years we've averaged about 25 to 30%. So we're significantly higher there. And then this one I thought was interesting. Our D1 experience is like a measure that takes like minutes played in D1 and basically just puts a number to how old and how experienced your team is. I thought we'd be way higher than this, but we're only at 1.87 years, which puts us at 85th. And I was looking down the list, and Gonzaga was number 3 with D1 minutes, and that makes sense because they had a lot of, they're very old. Also noteworthy, Indiana was number 1, so they had the most
really?
minutes played.
Really?
Yeah, and they look
Huh.
really good too. I'm excited to
Yeah.
watch D-Rock this year.
They struggled a little bit their last they won, but they struggled a little bit. Yeah, I think part of it though with us is even like, you're thinking everybody's going to transfer portal, great, but even like the portal guys, like Blake has only played 1 year, so it's like not like he's played a ton of years. If you go in the portal and get guys that played 2-3 years, obviously you're that figure for you is going to go way up, which is
And we
what
only have
D-Rock.
2 seniors on this team.
Right. Yeah, that
Justin
too.
Graves.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and then the last thing is I looked at average height because I was curious because I know we have a very tall lineup, and we're actually 20th in the nation in our average height of every player.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Our average height is 78.8 inches, so that puts us at 20th in the nation.
Yeah. I think when you get, we've had smaller point guards, and now this year we got 6'3" point guard, and then, Blake on the wing is 6'7", 6'8", and, Fedor's a big guy, and Dix is 6'5"-ish.
Yep.
So
point guard and shooting guard, we were way above the national average, and then center, we were way below because our starting center is only 6'10". And then even Karem is listed as a center, and he's only, I think, 6'9" or 6'10", listed as. So that the center position
surprises me
hurt
a
us.
little because there's not a lot of 7-footers out there. Kind of surprised me.
There must be because we were below average quite. So
well, I wonder if they figure Green into that though too. Then, you know what I mean?
I mean, that could be. I think he was listed as a forward, but yeah. Anyways, that's all I had. I just thought those were kind of fun facts. But
yeah, they are. They're always fun to look at, especially that that experience factor.
Yeah,
we kind of think we're experienced, but maybe we're not.
And I was going to drill down into a lot of different teams because I was interested, but of course the KenPom site's down, so I only have a screenshot. So.
I know it. Our luck. All right. Hey, thanks for all that, AJ. That was great discussion on KenPom. Hope you guys enjoyed it. So you kind of, as we get, because we're going to start rolling in metrics here in another week. It's going to, brackets are going to start, projections are going to start coming out weekly, and all this stuff's going to start rolling out. So it's a good time to kind of take a look at where we are, where we could go, and where we fit with some other teams. So, all right. Thanks everybody for watching. Tomorrow we'll have a game preview. It's game day already. So check it out, and we'll see you then.